Pennsylvania Senate race. It's one of the most talked about, hotly contested races in the nation. Arlen Specter versus Lynn Yackel. In the primary, Specter defeated anti-abortion activist Stephen Friend. Yackel won her primary on the strength of a series of negative commercials. And over the summer, Yackel has kept up her attacks on Specter. But what is the real Specter record? Over the next few minutes, you'll be hearing in Arlen Specter's own words and in the words of real people the facts. Judge for yourself. First, some background on Arlen Specter. We got to know him as Philadelphia's district attorney, where he prosecuted members of both parties and took the office out of politics. And as Pennsylvania's United States Senator, he kept his reputation for independence unsullied. His honesty has never been questioned, and his intelligence is unmatched. But he uses his skills not for the betterment of himself, but to help the people of Pennsylvania.
Right now I'm standing on the lot where my house used to be. In 1987, we found that we were living in toxic waste.
We were shocked, scared, worried about our children.
It was discovered by the Environmental Protection Agency that the neighborhood was contaminated by lead as a result of the activities conducted by a former battery reclamation plant.
The immediate response from the officials was that there was no problem.
The only two that responded to me when I wrote to them was Senator Hines and Senator Arlen Specter. Senator Specter was here many times, and he helped us.
One of the more specific things that he did was to make sure that this was cleaned up responsibly.
It's a definite asset to have a tough man like Senator Arlen Specter to knock the cobwebs off of the rockers of the people in Washington, to keep people on their toes, to let us know that there's somebody back there fighting for us.
My father was a veteran. He served the country for 27 years. He was in 2 wars. He was exposed to asbestos in the Navy as a young man. Later it developed into asbestosis. Because of his condition, he needed an oxygen machine, and he needed it right away. It was difficult for us to get him help through the VA. It was unbelievable, the red tape, the form letters. Our last straw was to call Arlen Specter. Now, I didn't believe or even dream that he'd help us because he was a Republican and he was from Philadelphia. But I'm here to tell you that it was like lightning crashing through the sky here in Trafford when that oxygen machine was delivered promptly. He got the help he needed, and he's still here with us today. You don't want to get a form letter that takes 3 months to get a reply. You want somebody that gets the job done. You want somebody that is not afraid to ruffle some feathers, who'll go right after and get what you need. And Arlen Specter is that way. I mean, you have a problem, he'll roll up his sleeves and he'll do whatever he has to do to get you some help.
On the issues we care most about, he's been out front. Healthcare.
I believe that it is imperative to provide comprehensive, affordable health care for all Americans and long-term health care for senior citizens. We have seen in this country the ravages of high-cost health care just eat savings them up. Jobs are obviously very important. But income can be totally dissipated if you have a sick child or a catastrophic illness or a parent who needs long-term care. And in my travels around Pennsylvania's 67 counties, I've talked to people who are just terrified about the prospects of some such excessive care. I've introduced legislation, Senate Bill 1122, to deal with the problem of long-term health care. I've co-sponsored with the Chafee Task Force Senate Bill 1936, which gives tax breaks to extend health care. And I've introduced legislation which will deal with the problems of 1-pound babies. If you have ever seen a 1-pound baby, it is both a human tragedy to come in the world weighing 16 or 18, 20 ounces, and it is also a financial disaster. It can cost up to $150,000. I have a legislative proposal which would give a bonus to teenagers. It's a suggestion of Dr. Koop. It's not my idea. It's Dr. Everett Koop's idea. That $500 bonus for a young woman in her teens who would have 5 prenatal cares and 1 postnatal care after birth would save billions of dollars if we're able to deal with the problem of 1-pound babies. We have managed health care where the savings are in the range of 20 to 25%. so that there are ways to save very substantial money. My opponent answered a questionnaire for the Philadelphia Inquirer saying that she favored rationed health care. I'm opposed to rationing of health care. I don't want rationing for myself. I don't want it for my family. I don't want it for America.
We are losing too many women to this disease, and we must save ourselves.
As a breast cancer survivor, I've spent more than a decade fighting for more funding for cancer research. Senator Arlen Specter has been one of the strongest allies in this fight. He helped to fund a major study on diseases affecting women. Before that, he helped increase cancer research funding and made breast, cervical, ovarian, and prostate cancers top priorities. Arlen Specter cares about these issues, and his record proves it.
When we first heard that, or realized that my mother was coming down with Alzheimer's, I guess our first reaction was denial. All of a sudden, she couldn't remember things. She couldn't remember what day it was or what time of day it was. That's what was so frightening.
Probably by the year 2020, the numbers of patients who will have severe Alzheimer's disease is going to break the bank.
General health care has to be improved, but particularly, I think, Alzheimer's, which is so recognizable and has a devastating effect not only in the person, but the whole family.
I'm grateful that Senator Specter has had a role in the significant expansion of monies to battle Alzheimer's disease and to help not only the patients, but their spouses and their children.
We do need somebody like Senator Specter fighting for funds for Alzheimer's research.
I think we need someone to fight for us, and I think Arlen Specter will. And I think he has shown that in the past.
On education.
Education is a very high priority of mine that I work on the Education Subcommittee of Appropriations. I authored legislation for special scholarships for bright high school students, $10,000 a year, who would make a commitment to teach for a period of time after graduation. We have added funds for Head Start, which is probably the single most important item for children 3 to 5 years old. Tom Harkin, who's the chairman of the committee, and I have added $600 million this year, brought it from $2.2 billion to $2.8 billion. Pell Grants are a big item. We increased the authorization for Pell Grants from $2,400 to $3,600 a year, but in the House they could not find any money. They actually lowered them from $2,400 to $2,300, and I intend to offer an amendment to the Defense Appropriations Bill to take $3 billion from defense and to put it into education, to put it specifically into Pell Grants.
On a woman's right to choose.
I'm pro-choice, been that way 100%. And I have voted for federal funding so that poor women have equal access to abortion. My colleague, Senator Al Gore, the Democratic nominee, would not vote for federal funding for poor women. I did. I have voted against notification within a family, because I do not believe that you can pass a law and tell a wife what she has to say to a husband or a daughter what she has to say to a parent, and the families are going to look to government to establish those requirements and those rules. We're very, very misdirected.
But in this race, one event seems to overshadow all the work Arlen Specter has done.
Did you conclude that Judge Thomas was guilty of sexual harassment?
In dealing with those hearings after the fact, it has been quite a learning experience for me to see the kind of impact that those hearings made on people. When you deal with sexual harassment, we were touching a very, very raw nerve. A good friend of mine said to me that when I was questioning Professor Hill, my friend thought that she herself was being challenged on her own integrity, because my friend had been the victim of sexual harassment and actually saw herself in Professor Hill's place. And I have to tell you that it made me feel very bad to have a friend tell me about her anguish when she saw me questioning Professor Hill, but that was obviously not my intent. Made me feel very bad to hear that my friend saw herself in Professor Hill's spot. What we were trying to do was find out what happened between one man and one woman a very long time ago. I took a position in the hearings that they should have gone on longer. We were given 1 week to finish the hearings, and when we met in executive session, The decision was made to meet that timetable, and I disagreed, and on national television expressed that disagreement, saying that I thought we should hear more witnesses. We dealt with a difficult factual picture, trying to understand why Professor Hill moved from the Department of Education to EEOC, why she then called him, why she drove him to the airport, had social contacts, and obviously there were 14 men there. And I thought we should have heard from women who would have given a picture as to how they related to a mentor and what they would do and how they would respond. The visuals were very, very difficult. 14 men, 1 woman, 14 white men, 1 African-American woman. But what I really say about it is, whatever someone may think about the Hill-Thomas hearings, take a look at the rest of my record on women's issues.
Arlen Specter's record on women's issues and on the needs of our families is unequaled. Co-sponsor of the Equal Rights Amendment, co-sponsor of the Violence Against Women Act, an original co-sponsor of the Freedom of Choice Act, a supporter of family and medical leave, to help women break through glass ceilings, to expand access for childcare, to eliminate the abortion gag rule, for shelters for battered women, to provide funding for children with AIDS, co-author of the law to help missing children. The list goes on and on and on. Perhaps the Philadelphia Inquirer put it best when they asked, will Specter's decade of representing the people of Pennsylvania count less than 3 days of nationally televised hearings? As an independent senator, Arlen Specter has put his conscience above the political needs of the moment.
MX missile came up. And I got a call one day from Bernard Weintraub of the New York Times. And he said, Senator, I've heard from the White House that if you don't support President Reagan on the MX missile, President Reagan will not come to Pennsylvania to raise $1 million for you. And I said, he's not invited. And President Reagan did not come to Pennsylvania. It only cost my campaign $1 million.
And the future of our country ahead of the desires of even the president.
Judge Bork had the most extreme ideas of anybody who'd ever been nominated for the court. He believed in original intent, and I don't think anybody can tell you what original intent means. But when you came to equal protection of the law, he would apply it only to African Americans. He wouldn't apply it for women, wouldn't apply it for aliens, wouldn't apply it for indigents. When it came to the clear and present danger test, he said that the Holmes Doctrine, which had been in effect for decades, was wrong, and he didn't believe in judicial review. But let me tell you, standing up to the White House on the Bork nomination was one tough matter.
Arlen Specter. He uses his seniority and clout in Washington to produce real results and jobs for Pennsylvania.
If we let the steel industry go the way it is, there's a lot more jobs that are going to be lost.
The steel industry is everything for me. It's the only job my wife, family, the kids, the dog, everybody depends on it.
When Senator Hines and Arlen Specter worked as a team, they were able to get VRAs passed to protect the foreign dumping of steel in America. Senator Hines, unfortunately, is no longer with us. So now we need a person with guts who can go in and tell the president, this is wrong. We need to have VRAs to help protect from the dumping of steel in Pennsylvania. Arlen Specter has that determination.
I have 15 years in the steel industry, and if Arlen Specter can help me get 15 more, it'd be nice.
Arlen Specter is not afraid to stand up for what he believes. And if the president is wrong, he'll tell him. And when he tells them, he's sending a message that means jobs here in Pennsylvania.
The shipyard has given me a great deal, and I can't see just idly sitting by and watch the shipyard go down a drain. I just can't do that.
The Navy Yard has been my whole life. I came here fresh out of college, married, raised 4 children, and the shipyard supported that life. The closing of the shipyard would be a severe impact on the whole city, because there are so many people associated with the yard.
I'm worried about how I'm going to feed my kids. I've been down here for about 6 months, working steady, and it doesn't look too good.
There is too much of the following the cattle in Washington. We need people who are going to stand up and speak up for what's right and fight for it. And Senator Specter is doing just that.
Senator Arlen Specter never gives up. He's a fighter, and he fights for what he believes is right. And what he's doing here at the shipyard is right.
He's been doing something about it since he's been in politics. It's about time we had somebody come in that's going to fight for us.
I think the best thing to say about Arlen Specter is he's always been there. He's always been there whenever American coal mining families have needed help. Whenever our retirees were about to lose their health care, we asked for his help and he was there. Whenever the American worker asked to be protected against strikes and not be replaced during strikes, Arlen Specter was there. Whenever we asked for protection for our families on the Family Leave Act, he was there fighting for us to protect these jobs here in this area. I guess the best thing to say about him is he's always been there.
This then is the real Arlen Specter record. Political independence, personal integrity, incomparable accomplishment. In these tough times, Pennsylvania needs Arlen Specter's experience in the Senate. He doesn't just promise results, he delivers. And that's the difference in this campaign.
I'm Teresa Heinz. My husband John spent his life fighting for Pennsylvania, and he was proud to have Arlen Specter with him. They understood the issues facing Pennsylvania, and they made a good team. And they were both willing to stand up and to fight any administration if they thought that was right for Pennsylvania. John is no longer with us, but their partnership and their independence was something that Pennsylvanians truly valued. So let's keep the other partner, Arlen Specter, fighting for us.